This episode of TechnoBuffalo is brought to you by Squarespace. Welcome Revision 3 and TechnoBuffalo fans to another edition of Ask the Buffalo, where you can ask me anything you want from the wide world of technology. I am your host, John Rettinger. On today's episode, we are going to cover recent acquisitions, recent shutdowns, tablets, cell phones, and everything in between. If it involves just a little bit of nerdiness, we are going to talk about it. This is Ask the Buffalo. Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of Ask the Buffalo. You can ask questions one of two ways. You can either send them to me on Twitter at John4Lakers or at TechnoBuffalo. Use the hashtag AskTheB and ask away. Otherwise, once a week, you can find an article up on TechnoBuffalo.com soliciting questions for these Ask the Buffalo series, and go ahead and leave your question down below in the comments. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start answering them questions. The first question comes to us from Max Kissel, who asks, "Hey John, I read in the newspaper today about Google buying Motorola. Do you think the next Nexus phone will turn out to be for Motorola, and why?" Well, Google announced their intent to purchase Motorola Mobility. It's a division of Motorola that makes handsets. Without getting all legally and businessy, the deal is already done. All parties have signed off on it. Now it just has to get through regulators. It's got to go through antitrust lawyers, antitrust governmental agents, and a ton of other in-betweens before it gets approved. What does this mean for the next Nexus phone? Well, we actually broke a story recently on TechnoBuffalo.com talking about the Nexus Prime. We had sources inside of Verizon and inside of Samsung that confirmed that Verizon will indeed be getting the next edition of the Nexus phone, dubbed the Nexus Prime, with, we're told, larger than a 4.5-inch screen and a 720p display. So we're talking big phone with big specs. Also going to be the first phone rocking ice cream sandwich, and we're hearing an October launch date, and it will still be built by Samsung. This deal just went through, or at least is trying to get through, in the middle to late August. Certainly a phone that was scheduled for release in October has been in development for months and months and months prior. So perhaps the next Nexus phone, not the Nexus Prime, perhaps the Nexus Megatron, will indeed be made by Motorola. What that's going to mean for the rest of the Android industry has yet to be seen. Certainly Android is still open. Any manufacturer can take that operating system and put it on their handset, so we're still going to see HTC Android phones, still going to see LG Android phones, and the rest of the companies, we are still going to see those devices. So don't fret. Our next question comes to us from Twitter from TreeDude217, who asks, "Would you ever consider making a European version of TechnoBuffalo?" We actually just brought on a European writer, Nikhilian Bell, who's going to focus on all kinds of European news. So for all European carrier information, cell phones and tablets, we're going to have you covered now. So thumbs up for that. And in fact, as you guys are watching this video, I am in Europe right now. I'm on my way to the IFA show in Berlin to bring you the latest from the world of technology. So we'll have a ton of European news being covered. I'm doing a few little stopovers before I get there, but I am trying to get in touch with my European friends. So our next question comes for us from Twitter once again from user Sonicorp, who asks, this is the most asked question of the week: "John, what are your thoughts on HP discontinuing the touchpad and WebOS devices?" Dum 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 dum. WebOS is dead. A mere 49 days after launching, the touchpad is now obsolete. Some would argue it might have been obsolete at launch. I like this little guy. I thought it had a lot of potential. I've been a big supporter of WebOS since day one. I actually waited in line the night before the original pre-launched on Sprint to get a device. I've been a supporter of it. I've loved it. Our own Noah Kravitz loves it. And it's sad what HP has done to it. They discontinued the WebOS hardware division. They're dead. So does that mean we're not going to see any more WebOS devices? Maybe. HP, you killed them. Certainly it makes sense for HP to license WebOS. HTC has been rumored to be interested for quite a bit. Samsung, perhaps. I wouldn't keep your fingers crossed. I think we've probably seen the last of the WebOS devices. And even before the Pre 3 saw an official launch, we saw it on the European store, Supposedly getting ready to launch in the US on a few different carriers, but no more WebOS. So you can now own a piece of technology history, and you can pick up a now discontinued HP touchpad for 99 bucks, which is a pretty sick deal for some decently spec'd hardware. I love the browser on here. Thought it was one of the best Flash implementations that I've seen, and it's sad what happened to this poor guy. So if you're lucky enough, you can go out and pick up an HP touchpad for 99 bucks. Just don't expect many new apps for it. So I want to take a few minutes to thank our friends and sponsors at Squarespace. Squarespace is a fast and easy way to create high quality blog portfolio of any kind, even a website. If you have questions or need help, Squarespace provides support for every member 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So when you're 4 Red Bulls in, it's 4 in the morning, Squarespace is going to be there to help you. You can start your website or blog by choosing from over 60 professionally designed templates and then add content from your computer, iPhone, or iPad. Squarespace's mobile apps allows you to easily add entries and manage comments from anywhere. Many of the internet's highest traffic web pages are powered by Squarespace, not to mention many personal pages of Revision 3 hosts and personalities. Check out squarespace.com to get a 2-week free trial and 10% off when you sign up in August. Just enter coupon code TECHNO8. That shows support for us, and it shows support for Vision 3 and all the videos, and it keeps the lights on here. So TECHNO8, T-E-C-H-N-O, and the number 8, and you're going to go ahead and get yourself some pretty nice services. All right, so our next question comes to us from Nathan-L10, who asks, John, what do you think is the best tablet of the two, the T-Mobile G Slate or the Samsung Galaxy 10.1? Well, we've tested both of these guys here at TechnoBuffalo. They're both a bit unique. The T-Mobile G Slate, it's kind of interesting. It's got that 8.9-inch screen. It does have 3D, though you gotta wear those glasses. And the Samsung Galaxy 10.1 is one of the thinnest tablets I have ever tested. It's actually probably one of the best tablets on the market. While the T-Mobile G Slate is a fantastic tablet, it's hard to beat the Galaxy Tab 10.1. Arguably the best tablet out there, period. Certainly in my opinion, definitely the best Android tablet out there, probably a little bit ahead of the Asus ePad Transformer. So Samsung Galaxy Pad 10.1, this is the way to go. All right, so our last question comes to us from Twitter user Mr. Nasty, who asks, John, what is the coolest phone or prototype you've ever seen that hasn't been released yet? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. I actually have it right behind me. I haven't shown this to anyone yet. I thought I'd kind of debut it here in Revision 3. Let me go ahead and show you what it is.